Marco Colbert, Speed Recovery Finish Network. Okay, so as you guys can see, we have my new 8-bay mechanical shop. If you guys are wondering just a backstory of why I built it, I have 18 personal cars. They all need wrench turning, oil changes, all kinds of stuff. So I built me another shop to do that. This is my body shop. As you guys know, mixing auto body and mechanical work simply never really works out that well. There's just too much risk of contaminants and oil, and especially if you're doing detailing, silicone getting in your work. It's just not a good idea. So long story short, we built a near 4,000 square foot, shop to do that kind of work. However, I wanted to get these floors coated before I just come in here like a sledgehammer and get oil all over the place, silicone on the floor. This is fresh concrete, so it's very absorbent. As you guys can see, I already got a couple oil stains from letting my cars, parking them in here. This is probably the worst spot that I'm going to take care of. That is from the Prelude. How could you? But the rest of the floor is pretty good. As you guys can see, I already did a good bit of cleaning. We got all the dust and dirt out. However, here's the issue, okay? This is what I wanted the concrete to look like. This is what the majority of it looks like. There's no texture to it, okay? Not going to name any names, not going to put them out there, but when I had the concrete done, I specifically said I need a rough, coarse finish. Honestly, at this point, I would have just told them, don't even freaking power trowel after they floated it. Just head the hell home. They just created a boatload of extra work for me to do. Like, some spots are good. Like, if you look, some spots have got some texture in it, but a lot of it is like really way too smooth for epoxy to stick. All right, so shop's clean, okay? So now we're gonna start with the acid etching process. We got 8 gallons of muriatic acid. I am gonna dilute the living heck out of this. We're not trying to really clean anything. We're just trying to get a little bit of this like creamy, smooth. You guys can see it. You see the gloss? You see the gloss in that floor? We're trying to get rid of that. That's how smooth the concrete is in some spots. Like it's got like a gloss to it. That's what we don't want. The paint will not stick to that. So I'm gonna dilute the muriatic acid 50-50, 50% water, 50% muriatic acid, and it's gonna make this much more of a coatable surface. Let's suit up, let's get a mask, we're gonna get some gloves on, all the protection we need. Let's start acid etching. got your garage washed out, acid washed, washed again, but you're not done. No matter how good you wash, there's always going to be certain spots that the puddle up and you miss. Also, concrete loves to dust. We got some spots like in here, you know, if you take your hand, there's still a good bit of dust on there. So we got our advanced carpenter, carpet retriever 28 commercial vacuum. If you don't have a commercial vacuum and you're doing a place this big, I would recommend renting one, because that little bit of dust that you got left on that floor could be the make or break between this job sticking and not sticking. Let's fire this freaking thing up and see what it can do. I'm excited. I've never used the dang thing. All I did was bought it, bring it home, test it out. Let's see what this thing can do. So we are all taped up. We are ready to mix up the epoxy. Now let me explain to you guys a little bit of chemistry science before we just pop into it. So epoxy itself, 100% solids epoxy, has a strength, tensile strength of about 3,000 psi. Now there's a lot of videos out there showing guys reducing epoxy with a solvent, and I strongly believe that this is a good thing to do, especially on that first coat. That way you could really get the thinner material to penetrate into the concrete. However, there is some downsides, like everything. Every 12.8 ounces, that's 10%, that we add to this epoxy is going to weaken it a significant amount. They also say, this is just general rule of thumb, you'll see something different everywhere. You'll see that it can, if you add the full 12.8 ounces, which is 10% per gallon, it can reduce the tensile strength by between 5 and 10%. Now, as you guys see, these are just a few of my cars. I drive very tiny cars. I'm not driving really big trucks in here. I'm not super concerned with tensile strength, but we are going to thin it a little bit. So we're going to thin this down about 2.5% is what I'm aiming for. So we're going to take 12.8 divided by 4. It's going to give us 25%. It's about 3.2 ounces. This is going to take the tensile strength of this epoxy down from 3,000. It's going to take it down to about 2,700 psi, which I think for my little tiny beat bop cars that I drive around, I think that'll be perfectly fine. I truly believe this will hold. So I'm going to throw, I got these mixing cups from speedocoat.com. I'm going to throw about 3.5 ounces to 4 ounces, splash it in there, mix it up, see the consistency. If I like the consistency, we're going to go ahead, we're going to start cutting in these edges. And this paint, this is from Trichem, okay? This is Trichem Z-Epoxy. Here's the label. So it's Trichem Z-Epoxy. This is their mini kit. So this mini kit will cover about, if you thin it a little bit, it'll cover, if you stretch it, about 240 square feet-ish. o'clock at night. I started rolling at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Got a little bit of a late start, and man, I gotta say, I was not expecting it to be this hard. Guys, you guys see I'm a pretty big guy. If you are not in some seriously good shape, you are not going to be able to roll this stuff. This stuff was like extremely hard to roll and work. And that's even after reducing it down. I reduced it down about 7 to 8%. I didn't go the full 10% because I didn't want to lose all the tensile strength. But we were throwing about 7 ounces of acetone per mixing kit. So this is what we got. Okay, all coated. I started going heavier towards the front of the shop. The back, when I first started, I was like super anxious. I was like, man, I'm gonna run out. I'm not gonna have enough. And long and behold, I ended up having a whole extra kit. Maybe they don't factor in reducing or adding solvent to these kits, but these kits cover, I'd like to say, probably about 280 square foot a kit if you're putting it on pretty light or even medium. Oh yeah, this is it. The front I did super heavy. Like that is a wet freaking coat. So I still gotta figure out what I'm gonna caulk these edges, and hopefully that'll make up for that gap. But yeah, she's got some solvent pop. You guys can see it's got a little solvent pop. But look, standing 5 feet away, it looks great. I'm reasonably happy with this.